In today's video, we're going to go over the fault output capabilities of the HS35iQ encoder. Whether you have the programmable or the standard version of the encoder, both will allow you to send a signal to a PLC or other monitoring device. Encoder faults trigger a signal from the encoder to a monitoring device via a dedicated fault output pin on each connector of the HS35iQ. It is important to note that the fault output capabilities differ in the programmable versus the standard unit. The standard unit comes with a fixed fault output voltage at the time of ordering. The programmable encoder arrives with a factory default setting of TTL. However, the user can change the fault output amplitude of the programmable unit to either HTL or TTL via the PulseIQ encoder software. Fault output can be directly wired to a monitoring device. However, we also offer a solid-state relay as an optional accessory. This relay is used to isolate the encoder from the receiving device. Isolating the encoder is important to avoid ground loops and noise-related problems. As mentioned before, the primary connector of the encoder has a dedicated pin for fault output. However, we also offer an optional cable that can be wired to the diagnostic connector, which also has a fault output pin. Customers can choose to use either connector to send the fault output signal to their monitoring device. When using the diagnostic connector for fault output, please remember to also connect the common to your fault monitoring device. Earlier, I mentioned that users can toggle the output from HTL to TTL on the programmable version of the HS35iQ encoder. This functionality can be found within the HS35iQ service tool. First, load up the HS35iQ service tool and connect your device. Next, navigate to Device Configuration tab and select Configure Device. This will bring up a submenu that lets you change your programmable encoder's characteristics. Select Fault Signal Voltage and choose HTL or TTL depending on your needs. Finalize your changes by clicking Send to Device. Verify this setting change by referring to the notification window at the bottom of the software. Once configured, you can now disconnect your encoder. Within the service tool, there is also a visual representation of the HS35iQ encoder, which simulates the functionality of the physical hardware. This simulated visual includes an example wiring diagram for connecting the encoder and its fault output to your system. At this point, we have our encoder set up and ready to send a fault output to a monitoring device. If interested, we have a white paper available on fault monitoring. In the white paper, we go into greater depth on connecting an HS35iQ encoder to a Rockwell PLC. It includes a wiring diagram and a beginner's guide to using the fault output with a PLC. For more detailed information on fault monitoring, please refer to Dynapar.com, where we have videos and manuals.